How extensive was Solomon's rule? How wealthy was he? How much more beautiful are wildflowers than kingly attire? Let's look at 1 Kings 4. What did Solomon's administration look like, and who were some of his officials? King Solomon became king of all Israel. These were his officials: the priest Azariah, Zadok's son; the scribes Elihoreph and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha; Jehoshaphat, the recorder, Ahilud's son; the general Benaiah, Jehoiada's son; the priests Zadok and Abiathar; Azariah, Nathan's son, who was in charge of the officials; Zabud, Nathan's son, a priest and royal friend; Ahishar, who was in charge of the palace; and Adoniram, Abda's son, who was supervisor of the work gangs. What were the 12 regions of Solomon's reign, and who was in charge of each? Solomon chose 12 regional officers, who took turns bringing food for him and his household. Each officer provided food from his region for 1 month of the year. These were the 12 officers. The son of Hur was in charge of the hill country of Ephraim. The son of Deker was in charge of the towns of Makaz, Shaalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan. The son of Hesed was in charge of the towns of Araboth and Soko, and the region of Hepher. The son of Abinadab was in charge of Naphath Dor, and was married to Solomon's daughter Taphath. Baana, son of Ahilud, was in charge of the towns of Tanakh and Megiddo. He was also in charge of the whole region of Beth-Shan, near the town of Zarathan, south of Jezreel, from Beth-Shan to Abel-Meholah, to the other side of Jokmeam. The son of Geber was in charge of the town of Ramoth in Gilead, and the villages in Gilead belonging to the family of Jair, a descendant of Manasseh. He was also in charge of the region of Argob in Bashan, which had 60 walled towns, with bronze bars on their gates. Ahinadab, son of Iddo, was in charge of the territory of Mahanaim. Ahimaaz was in charge of the territory of Naphtali, and was married to Solomon's daughter Basemath. Baana, son of Hushai, was in charge of the territory of Asher and the town of Bealoth. Jehoshaphat, son of Paruah, was in charge of the territory of Issachar. Shimei, son of Elah, was in charge of the territory of Benjamin. Geber, son of Uri, was in charge of Gilead, where King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan had lived, and 1 officer was in charge of the territory of Judah. How extensive was Israel's rule during the reign of Solomon? Judah and Israel were as many as the sand by the sea. They ate and drank and were happy. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provision for 1 day was 30 cors of fine flour and 60 cors of meal, 10 fat oxen and 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep, besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all the region west of the Euphrates, from Tiphsah to Gaza, over all the kings west of the Euphrates. And he had peace on all sides around him. And Judah and Israel lived in safety, from Dan even to Beersheba, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, all the days of Solomon. Solomon also had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers supplied provisions for King Solomon, and for all who came to King Solomon's table, each one in his month. They let nothing be lacking, barley also and straw for the horses, and swift steeds. They brought to the palace, where it was required, each according to his duty. How great was Solomon's wisdom, and was there any record of it? God gave Solomon wisdom, very great insight, and understanding as vast as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the East, greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Herman, Calcol, and Darda, sons of Mahol. His reputation extended to all the surrounding nations. Solomon composed 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He described trees, from the cedar in Lebanon to the hyssop growing out of the wall. He also taught about animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. People came from everywhere, sent by every king on earth who had heard of his wisdom, to listen to Solomon's wisdom. In discussing worry, what did Jesus compare Solomon with? That's why I'm telling you to stop worrying about your life, what you'll eat, or what you'll drink, or about your body, what you'll wear. Life's more than food, isn't it? And the body more than clothing. Look at the birds in the sky. They don't plant or harvest or gather food into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. You're more valuable than they, aren't you? Can any of you add a single hour to the length of your life by worrying? And why do you worry about clothes? Consider the lilies in the field and how they grow. They don't work or spin yarn, but I tell you that not even Solomon, in all of his splendor, was clothed like one of them. Now, if that's the way God clothes the grass in the field, which is alive today and thrown into an oven tomorrow, won't he clothe you much better, you who have little faith? How extensive was Solomon's rule? How wealthy was he? How much more beautiful are wildflowers than kingly attire? You decide.